Hey guys, I'm back here in my bedroom, just taking it easy this evening. I want to film this motor for you guys again, and this is my homemade AC motor for the magnetic motor open source. And what we have here is a homemade rotor, and there's a hex-shaped core. You can see it in there of magnets. This thing's kind of hard to crank now. This is a synchronous motor, but we're taking advantage of the Joe Newman effects. We have a very long coil of wire here with extremely high resistance. That means that almost no current can go through here. So what we have to do is we have to crank it up and get it up to resonance speed so that the magnets will be in resonance. The magnets themselves will be in resonance with the AC signal in the Higgs field, which is what we call the aether. That's what I call the aether, I should say. No one really agrees on any of this stuff, but in my opinion it's all basically 0-point energy. So anyways, I want to get off into quantum mechanics. Oh, my wire's loose here. Let me set this down. Put this wire in here. So anyways, the only free energy aspects of this is the magnet power that Joe Newman was talking about. That all the turning force, or most of it, has to be coming just from the magnets themselves, because they're just synchronized to the field. The field really has almost no power with such limited current, because your motor strength is supposed to be based on how much current goes into the motor, right? So that's why it appears to be over unity, because it's just a different transformation of energy from the nuclear force and the magnets into mechanical work. So it's not really any, it's just some unknown physics. It's not really magic or anything like that. And it's kind of loud. It's hard to crank though. I have to see if there's any current going through there. The wire would be burned up already. There, now it's running. I need to put a pull cord on there so it'll be easier to crank, because it's a lot of work to get that rotor sometimes to get it to synchronize in there. It's probably just when I move the bearings around a little bit, and it's probably just not lined up very well right now, because it was easier to start before. Alright, so we're going to start playing with these sparks now. This is just an arc gap too, and what's going to happen is that side of the coil over there is going to get kind of hot because we're shorting across there. But this is just to make a high voltage arc gap. The interesting thing about this though is we're getting these effects of what we call like the radiant energy, where it's like cold electricity. Also, this is an AC motor, and the plasma should be purple because it's alternating between blue and orange electricity. It's blue and orange just based on direction. And I think this all just has to do again with like the quantum mechanics. There's up and there's down, there's left, there's right, there's like these 4 different things. But then there's like 2 additional things when you're dealing with electricity and plasma. So that gives you 8 different conditions now. So that has to really just go into like some matrix computation, because no one's going to be doing like 8 dimensions in their head, right? So like a supercomputer is going to have to do the math of the future when it comes to these machines. But anyways, let's look at these arcs. See, my finger's right on there. I mean, I'm touching that, and it's not shocking me. I don't feel anything there, see? I mean, I feel the fan blade, like, ow, you know, it hit my thumbnail. It could cut me maybe, but that's not burning me, it's not electrocuting me. This is plugged in the wall. You know. And that looks like you're welding steel or something. I mean, I don't want to look at it, I'm going to get a blind spot, but I put my finger right on that flame, and you know, it doesn't even feel warm. I got the cold fan blowing, You know, the fan's blowing on the motor. I'm more afraid that that blade cutting me or something, you know. This arc is beautiful white light, and you know, we're calling it free energy, but simply because it seems to be way higher voltage than it should be. It seems to be way brighter than it should be, and it's not hot at all. Like my finger is literally on. I'm holding the wire itself. Like here, I'm touching the bare. I don't want to touch that end because that's the end of this, but it probably wouldn't hurt me either. It's totally grounded. The electricity does not want to go through me. It wants to go to the ground. But also, with this real high resistance, there can't be any current going through there, so that's why it can't shock me. It can't burn me. It doesn't even have any heat to it. Cold electricity, we're calling it. Some people call it dielectric electricity, but there's no capacitor here. This is not. There's no capacitor. It's just magnets and wire, and it's all to do with the geometry of the alignment and the Joe Newman effect. But Joe Newman motors were DC motors. This is an AC motor, and I'm getting a good white light off of here where it normally would be purple. It may just have to do something to do with the composition of the metals that are out. You see, like I'm literally touching the wire and the flame, like the plasma. I'm letting that plasma literally. Sorry, I'm blowing in the microphone. Hopefully the audio turns out okay on this video because this motor's kind of loud. But look, guys, folks out there, you know, don't try this at home because I don't want people suing me. Oh yeah, I mean, my kit. Wow, what's it doing now? It's really. That's beautiful. It's weird. The arc is like an inch long now. I mean, an inch long arc theoretically should be like 10,000 volts. And it's just, I feel a little bit of warm air on there. It looks like fire, literally. Something, probably burning the metal or something. Yeah, there's probably, uh-oh, now that killed the motor. Well, I'll go ahead and unplug it. There's just see, I went over the threshold of loading. When you go over the threshold of loading and it kills the motor, it kills the motor. Because you're just running on that free energy. It's only running on the power of the magnets themselves. So if you go over the pull force, these little magnets here, they're probably just like 10 pounds each or something. They're not real big neodymium magnets, but if it was 70 pounds, it's 70 pounds. You go over, 70 pounds at whatever that, that angle or that radius there is. We're gonna have to create a dynamometer so we can figure out the actual torque, and measure it, either in foot pounds or in kilograms per meter. So, but aside from the free energy, the free work, like it's doing, it's basically doing free work while it's not really drawing a lot of current. It's just a really strange, like different type of electricity. It's literally a different type of electricity. We're calling it cold electricity for now, but that's gonna have to change eventually. We're not gonna be telling school children, we have a new electricity. It's called cold electricity. We'll just have to come up with a better name for it. But anyways, well, that's my this is my AC synchronous magnet motor, the open source magnet motor, and we've added a cooling fan, and then we added an arc gap to get some good high voltage arcs, or theoretically high voltage. And but we don't seem to be getting current or voltage out of it. It's just a pretty light show, and no telling what sort of X-rays or beta rays might be coming off of there. But I couldn't feel any heat. It didn't shock me. I had my finger literally on the wire that's connected to the wire that's plugged in the wall. and it wasn't shocking me, it wasn't burning me, I didn't feel any tingling sensation. Now, if you've ever worked with electricity, you know if there's any current there, you're going to get a good stiff jolt to your arm. It can kill you. I don't recommend you play around with power lines or near grid electricity. But this was plugged into the grid, and but did not seem to be drawing any current from it. It was just taking the information, the 60 cycles information from it, and this high resistance wire just doesn't even get warm. You know, it barely might get slightly warm to the touch. And of course, the longer an AC motor runs, they all end up getting warm eventually. But all right, guys. Well, I don't guess I have a whole lot more to say about this, but I just want to say that I can't really keep doing this kind of work and building these motors and spending so much time doing this and filming and uploading these videos and discussing the physics behind free energy unless people support my free energy research by going and finding Inventor John Gay on Patreon. So I go by Sunsaver, but that was just a nickname I had when I was on this forum where we were talked about the environment a lot. You know, backyard chickens and nature's hippie house we used to talk about. Growing your own food and living off the land. And I did write a lot of stuff on there as Sunsaver. Some of it might still be there, I don't know. Or wherever that forum went to, vaporized into the internet of the past. But supposedly everything you write online is still there somehow or another. And I'm trying to write better stories and just stick with the goal. You know, the goal is to make a better world and to create more efficient machines for the future. So now what we're doing is we're looking at trying to come up with some funding to educate, you know, either educate the public or educate some specific industries and build some actual machines. Like I would like to build these ultralight, super powerful motors eventually for spacecraft and for satellites, things like this, and for electric aircraft. I think electric aircraft is the way of the future because fuel is very heavy and expensive, and so if you have an ultralight vehicle that just runs on hydrogen or runs on rapid charging supercap batteries that are ultralight too. You know, you got an ultralight motor and an ultralight battery. So now you got this super fighter jet with all it needs is a few solar panels and it stays aloft forever and can outmaneuver anything because it's so light and so powerful. You know, might as well be a UFO. But alright guys, thanks for watching.